Well, hello everybody. I've been out here putting out pepper spray to some of my plants to keep the bugs away from them. I had to put a little bit more water on some of them because we're starting to heat up pretty much during the day, and my plants were so used to all that cool, rainy weather that they don't really like this hot weather we're having right now. And it like puts the plants into shock. The ones under the shade are still looking pretty good, but the ones out here in the sun are not. And I'm gonna have to fix some kind of shade. Here, I'll turn this around and show you. I'm gonna have to fix some kind of shade on this tote here because these plants are getting too hot. You can tell by the leaves on the plant. I mean, it's full of tomatoes, totally full. And sometimes these type of tomatoes that bloom and produce tomatoes early, when the heat kicks in, the plants die off. But my other tomato plants will survive, where a lot of times these won't. Like this one here, look what this one's doing. And I've been keeping it watered, but look at it. The poor plant is just getting too hot in the sun. I'm going to have to do something to shade it. Get me some kind of shade cloth up here around it. And I'm getting this tripod hung up and everything. But I've been telling you I needed to come out here and harvest. You know, I did harvest 2 yellow squash the other day. So I brought me a bucket. My tomatoes are not ripe yet. These big ones are not ripe, but they're starting to turn. I've been picking 1 or 2 of these little cherry tomatoes as they ripen. But I think I got the only one that was halfway ripe yesterday. I couldn't resist. But see, these Roma tomato plants are looking good, but they haven't produced tomatoes yet. Those that are in the ground right there are looking pretty good. But again, they haven't produced tomatoes yet. They're not big enough. But I have got some big onions, y'all. Look at that. I got a red onion back there. A lot of these are Egyptian onions. These are Egyptian onions, so they're not going to produce a bulb like that. But I got a red one down in here. You can't really see it, but it's right there. And I wanted to show you, I got 2 gigantic ones right there. Look at that. Those are red tomato onions. 2 biggest ones right in the center of the pot. But I wanted to come out here and start harvesting some of my zucchini and squash because they're getting kind of big. My strawberries are getting shaded out by my celery, so I got to trim some of that back. And I think I'll put some of the celery in the freezer. But my strawberries are producing little buds. So I'll come back and get some of those. But I wanted to show you this. I got cucumbers, y'all. Look at this. Look at that little cucumber. I love them when they're about that size because they're good eating. And I saw some more down in here I got to harvest out. Yeah, there's two right down in there. I don't know if you can see them, but they're right behind that flower bloom. And I had some more hanging. Yeah, I got another one started here. But I do have a few cucumbers, and I'm going to have to... There's 2 little ones started right there. You can see them. This wind's blowing, so it's going to bother my allergies. I'm going to be coughing quite a bit. I wanted to show you too, I got a strawberry. I got a strawberry, but it's not ripe yet. Look right there. That is a strawberry, y'all. But it's not ripe yet. Look at that. Isn't that good looking? And I got some over here that's fixing to produce some. They got the blooms. There's a bloom right there. But yeah, I got to trim that celery back. I didn't think that celery was going to grow that good. And look at it, it's just about taking over that raised bed right there. Look how tall that celery is. I don't know that I've ever seen celery get that tall. But yeah, I got my bucket out here so I can harvest some of my squash. If I can get this back where you can see what I'm doing. Oh me. It's hot, y'all. I'm sweating. You can't wear makeup out here doing this kind of stuff. You just sweat it off. And I hope that don't tilt over. I got a little one in there. I don't think I want to get it right yet. Now let's go over here. This is the biggest zucchini is right here in this first plant. For some reason it grew faster and bigger than the rest of them, even though they were all planted at the same time. I can't even see down in there for all the... It looks like I'm gonna have to... Look at that. It was turning, shaping, being the shape of the end of it was pushing up against the tote, so it made it curve around. That's a big zucchini. It's pretty heavy. It just turned the bucket over. And I got another big one. Look at that one. How's that for size? Looks like a big old cucumber. And another one. Not quite as big as the other ones, but and it's producing more in here. There's one down on the bottom that don't look too good, but I think I'll just cut it off because it's drawing. Yeah, that one just turned yellow, so that's not going to be any good to eat. I'll just throw it down in there as mulch. But I got more started down in here, so we'll have a few more off of it. I'm going to see if I can turn this around, because I can't really see what I'm showing you. Now, one that's got the biggest one. Oh my God, it's a whopper. It's a whopper. Goodness. Look at the size of that. Look at that zucchini, y'all. I mean, you can see how long my arm is. Look at that. That's a good size zucchini right there. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this. There's another couple of little ones there, but I'm not going to cut them off. But yeah, I've already got a bucket full. I'm going to go over here and get me a couple of those cucumbers too. But I wanted to show you while we're over here as well. There, show you how my pumpkin's producing. Look at that. There's one there. And I accidentally come across... Okay, where is it? There was another one on this side, I thought. Oh yeah, there it is. That flower's hiding it, y'all. See that little pumpkin? So I know I got 2 pumpkins on there. May have more before it's over with, I don't know. But let's get our bucket of zucchini. See if I can put my tripod up right here. And go over here and get a couple of these little cucumbers. So there's a couple of them just right to go in a salad, like this one. There's one. 2 more down in here. Two more cucumbers. Whew. I keep bumping my head on that point. Now there's a bunch of little tiny ones in here, but they're nowhere big enough to cut or to harvest yet. I don't like to let them get too big, because when they get too big, the seeds get real big in them, and they're not as good as they are when they're little. So let's see what we can find over here on the other side. I'll turn this around. So hopefully I won't make you dizzy. Yeah, I need to, you know what? Well, I can't put it in the bucket with all that zucchini. But I do need to harvest some of this. Maybe I can get a little bit of it. Look at that, y'all. Isn't that a big head of lettuce. Might put all those pieces in there. The compost. Look at that. That is a huge stalk of celery. Look at that. Look at the size of it. I'm going to take that one. I mean, I could take several, but I don't want to take them because they'll go bad before I can cook them. And I really didn't want them to drown out my strawberries. Well, I'm taking that one head of celery. Whew. I'm going to put this in my compost tea bucket container over here where I keep my my water, the water that I save right here. And another thing I can do with it, any that I cut that I don't want, like say maybe this piece, a couple of pieces that are hanging over this way, that I don't want over this way. I've got one of those little composting containers right here. You know, the little containers like we save to put leaves and stuff in. It goes to compost and it puts fertilizer, plant food into your plants. Well, that's where I just put that. Let me show you. See that little white container? That's where I just put those cut leaves at, or the cut stalk of celery. I'm going to take this and go back this way. I keep watching my tomatoes. Like I said, the first one of these big slicing tomatoes that turns right is going to make me a real good BLT. But I got to get some shade up over them. And see, I've got squash started in there. And all of my tomatoes here are looking real good. But they got some protection. They got the shade over them. And I got to come out here and tie some of them up. Because they're getting long and lanky. And they're going to start falling over. Like this one is producing tomatoes and it's coming outside of the... Here, I can't talk and hold this tripod and show you what I want to show you at the same time. But look at this. I've tried to keep it inside, but it's not staying inside, y'all. And I'm afraid if I bend it too much, I'm going to break it. And I don't want to break it because it's got blooms coming on it. This one is staying inside. Whew, but at least you got a trellis that you can start tying them up to a little bit. I'm not going to let them get no taller than this trellis. I'm going to cut them off. But, yeah. They're starting to grow pretty good. Oh, I wanted to show you. Well, I got more zucchinis over here. Right here. I don't think you can see it. Yeah, now you can. Look at that. It's not a big one, but like I said, I don't want to let them, some of them get too big because I like to eat them in salads. And if you let them get too big, much bigger than this, the seeds are too big and they're not good in a salad anymore. So that's 2 more zucchini. And I'm going to have to pretty soon pull my onions, I guess. Because look at my onions right there. Well, I got to turn this. Turn it around because I can't tell what I'm showing you if the camera's facing me. But look at my onions. These are the white onions. I got white onions over there. I got 2 totes of white onions. And they're getting pretty good size. And look, these Roma tomatoes are full of blooms over here. And I had 1 or 2 tomatoes in there, but red onions and yellow onions in that, but they didn't make it. I had them in their corner with the... But look at that. I can't get over how big that is. Those are Egyptian walking onions, so they're not going to head up, but they'll look like a leek when you pull them, when they get real big. And see, I've got red onions in here. They're bulbing up real good. Just like my white ones here. And I got a couple of red ones in there. There's a red one there. A couple of red ones back there. Look at that. Hanging out in the shade. Yep, Lucky's hanging out in the shade. I think little Buddy's asleep on the other side of the house. He doesn't even know we're out here. Yeah, I'm going to have to fix some shade up to those other tomato plants if I even have any hopes of saving them. But look at my big bucket of harvest here. Let's take our bucket. And I noticed, I wanted to show you that before I go in. I've got a couple of green bell pepper. Now, I don't know if they're green or not, but I know they're green now. And I don't, let me look at the tag. No, that's a red bell pepper. But see, I got a couple on there started. So I'll know when they're ready to harvest, they'll be red. But most of my bell pepper plants are not big enough to even put around yet. To transplant. But look at my, those are the eggplant tomatoes. And look at this cucumber. Look how long and skinny it is already. I forgot the name. I think that's what they call the Big Daddy Dill. Yeah, I think so. Let me see. I got the steak down in here. Yeah, big dill cucumber. It's supposed to be long and, skinny and long. But that'll make it even better for a salad. I don't think I'll have enough to pickle. I don't have that many cucumber plants. I just don't know. I read on the internet, y'all, where these plants, just to leave it, let it grow, let it produce the male flowers, And they say sooner or later it'll start putting out females. Now, I don't know. I have no idea. But look at my patty pan, Jill. Look at that. There's my patty pan squash. I don't want to mess with it. I'm afraid I'm going to break it. But I got 5 on there. One's almost big enough to pick. I'm going to let them get a little bit bigger. And there's all eggplants. I think those are the Black Beauty here. And I got an eggplant or 2 here with my asparagus, because I've only got 1 hill of asparagus left there. I got greens growing in the corner. And this tomato plant loves it here. This should be a big tomato, but it's kind of a crinkly cut, if you can call it crinkly. Where is it? There it is. See how it's not smooth? That's the way it's supposed to be. So I can't wait till some of those ripen. Yeah, but I was told just to leave these things alone. Let them produce the male flowers. And they say sooner or later, usually they'll put out female flowers. And I got to transplant some of these, break some of these clusters off and plant them. My parsley's looking pretty good. But that don't really look like parsley, does it? That's what it's supposed to be. And I got a tomato plant growing in here. I got one in there too. Well, that's about all I got to harvest today. Was my cucumbers and my squash. My cabbage is looking great, considering I'm growing it in buckets. And I don't know, I'm still waiting on these things to do their thing, but look. I don't know if I can show you there or not, but it's starting to bloom out. It's supposed to bloom out and then start producing berries, but we'll see. I don't know. Sometimes I'm thinking that they must have got the labels mixed up in the nursery, because I've had this plant for 3 years and it's not ever had a raspberry on it. Not the first one. And see, that is no bush, that's a vine. It's growing right up that stake. It's growing like a cucumber, a watermelon. And that there does look like a watermelon. I'm liable to have watermelons and whatever this is growing up these trellis instead of my tomatoes. Yeah, but let's go see what we got for our harvest today. I'm going to try freezing some of my celery since I've got a lot of it, and I can't eat it all at one time. I was told you can chop it up in the pieces that you want to cook, like you're going to put it in a stew or something like that. If you chop it up and put it in there, that you can freeze it in baggies, freezer bags, and you need to cook it. I got to adjust these legs now because I've been messing with them. Oh, great. Now my AC unit come on. And I got a wasp flying around the yellow jacket. There's my celery. I'm going to take it in the house and clean it up, and maybe cut up part of it, put it in a baggie and stick it in the freezer, that I can put it in something later and see how it does. And then I'll put the rest of it in the refrigerator to eat. I like to make tuna salad and just put it on celery and eat it like that. It's real good. But there's my celery. Here's my 3 salad cucumbers. I love the little cucumbers. And these are the ones that are great to pickle. You know, just leave them whole and pickle them. And there's my curly zucchini. My straight zucchini. This zucchini. This curly key one, I don't know where it was going, but it was growing crazy. Look at that. But look how nice it looks. It's a pretty zucchini. And then I got this one. I don't think that's too bad a harvest for no more plants than I've got. And I had one little row of celery, and look what it's doing. I mean, it's growing like crazy. So I know next year where to plant celery. I definitely can. And I wanted to tell you too, I was hoping that unit would turn off, but it's not going to. Oh man. May is still a good time to plant. You know, like if you want to start more tomato plants, you can. You got plenty of time to start tomato plants right now. Because, you know, I've still got lots of little bitty transplants that I haven't even moved around the yard yet. Basil is good. You can start basil right now from seed. And it's a good companion plant for your tomatoes and your other fruit-bearing plants, because it gives them a better flavor. I don't know how it does it, but they say it does. Borage is good to plant, and that's good. It's not only healthy, you can eat the flowers, and it's a plant that you can put in your garden that will attract some of the bugs away from your vegetable plants. You can plant amaranth, which is kind of similar to a spinach. And it's a powerhouse of vitamins and nutrients for you. You can put it in like smoothies, just like you make a green drink with celery leaves, lettuce, kale, spinach, collards, any of that stuff to make a good green drink. It's real healthy. It's kind of similar to a Chinese spinach. I got bugs that bit me on the arm. Now I'm scratching. Also, if you like sunflowers, you can start sunflowers right now from seed with no problem. If you love sunflowers. I love them. I would love to be able to harvest a bunch of the seeds, but the birds eat the seeds before I get to them. Malabar spinach is good to plant, but you may only want to plant one plant of it, one pot. If you plant it in the ground, it's going to spread and it will be invasive as all get out. So you might just want to put it in a pot and be sure to have a tall trellis for it to climb on, because it loves to climb. And it's real good to put in your salads, your green drinks, any of that type of thing. I don't think you want to make a salad out of it, just Malabar spinach, but it's a good addition to your other greens, and it's a good addition to your stir fries. Ground cherries you can plant right now. I like ground cherries, but it seemed like I never could catch them before they fell in the dirt, and they were a lot of times pretty much gone before I found them. But they are good. I mean, they're little bitty things about the size of a grape, but they have a flavor that's unreal. Cucumbers, you can go ahead and succession plant cucumbers right now and have another whole crop. Melons, watermelons, cantaloupe, you can start right now. Have another crop of those. Squash, you know, I've planted my squash already. I'm harvesting from it. But when those squash plants die off, if they do, I can replant. Bush beans, which is the dragon tongue bush bean, is real good to plant now because it thrives in the heat. It loves the heat like Malabar spinach and some of these other things. So, yeah, don't feel like if you waited till now and you haven't got much of anything planted, because you can go ahead and plant right now and, you know, harvest a, you know, pretty good harvest. I mean, I plan on succession planting the rest of the summer. You know, as I lose plants, tomato plants, squash plants, or anything of that nature, I'm going to replant them. And it'll produce me another whole crop. But these zucchini right here, that's more zucchini than I know what to do with right now at one time. So I may freeze some of that, I don't know. But I'll eat those little cucumbers. I'll put them in a couple of salads. I just wish I had me some good old ripe tomatoes to go with them. Well, I just wanted to give you an update. I hate it that the AC's running out here. It's just overpowering. But I wanted to take you on my little harvest, the first real harvest of my garden for the season. And you saw how good my celery's doing. I mean, I'm amazed at my celery this year. I tried to grow it last year and it just didn't do. But planting it out there in the raised bed, that's the place to plant it. It loves it out there. So anyway, I'm going to let you go. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos. Love you all, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye now.